Hi, Cindy.
Howdy do.
Good, we're doing well.
Everybody's here. Oh, a few of us.
That's 7 o'clock.
Usual suspects.
I'll call the meeting of the Development and Review Board to
Paperwork here.
nope, got down the end, John. So we got a approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes of May 5th, 2021, discussion of the zoning bylaws, review permit number 21-017, Patrick Gray, public comment and adjourn. Motion?
Motion.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, roll call.
Aye.
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 Approval of the minutes. We had the board reorganization. Megan called the meeting to order, 7:03. Nomination for chair. Jimmy Winchester nominated John Bashy. Dave Dents nominated myself. Carl seconded the motion. That's the only change that I found. We have to change nominated to second. Megan turned the meeting over to myself. We nominations for vice chair. Jimmy nominated John. I seconded, voted, clerk. Carl got it. John seconded, vote, approval of the agenda. Approval of the minutes. There were no minutes. Permit hearing for Ron Dwyer. Call the public hearing to order. Clarification as to whether there be two signs. The new sign will replace the old one. Discussion of the board, relative time frame, the provisions and the restrictions. Dave Dent's motion for permit. Jimmy seconded, voted, public comment, and adjournment.
Motion. Accept.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, roll call.
Aye.
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 Discussion of the zoning bylaws. I think at this point, I'll turn it over to Mike and he can give us an overview of what's going on. We've got hard copies that we can each get our hands on and go through.
Sue's here.
Yep. Like
That's what email everyone a digital copy, because they're not nearly as good.
okay. Megan said you should have a digital copy on your email.
Yes, I do.
You get it? Okay.
Yeah,
Cindy,
actually, I got it up right now. So
you get yours, Cindy?
That thick pad there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stuff.
No,
It's okay. If you didn't,
Hey,
feel free to stop by and grab one.
I will.
Okay. Mike just said there were a few discrepancies between the new and the old, and not a lot has changed, but I just figured we should get a handle on them going into the approval process.
So, Carl and Cindy, how are you?
good.
So, we had the two public hearings on the new proposed bylaws the select board did. And in those two public hearings, one thing that came up was we need to add some language on tiny houses. Right now, there's nothing in those bylaws that define or even talk about a tiny house. So we've been in contact with Jim Sullivan. Jim's given us some good ideas. So this went back to the planning commission last night. So that's one thing. One thing I think we need to be careful of with the tiny houses is if somebody puts them on wheels onto a trailer and builds them on a 8x20 trailer, but puts it into a sewer and a well, whether it's on wheels or not, it still becomes, in my opinion, a residence.
It's a mobile home.
Right, and Jim Sullivan wants us to treat it kind of like that. So just kind of a heads up. And I think that you guys, the DRB is going to see some of this stuff come up. So that's kind of why I thought it would be good for you guys to get a little bit of a insight into these new bylaws, because we are going to have to go back and have some more public hearings. And if there's something in there that you guys don't like, that now is the time to bring it up and change it, before we adopt them.
So the camper issue, at this point, you can park your camper on your boundary line, correct? Or within a
No,
certain, you
no.
can't.
Campers, if somebody's gonna be staying in a camper, it
But
still has.
on unoccupied, you can. Or
That I don't know, Matt. I'm not
Because
sure.
I see a lot of campers
Right on the edge.
backed into the edge of the property, storage and whatnot.
Yeah,
But once it becomes inhabited,
right. Then it has to meet setbacks.
okay.
Okay, so
But there's no verbiage for that right now.
So I don't know about uninhabited, if you're just
Okay.
parking them and storing them. I don't know that. I know that if you were to someone was to buy a piece of property and they wanted to put a mobile or a RV, quote unquote, on that piece of property while they're building their house, that is allowed for 1 year, but it has to meet setbacks.
Okay.
Whatever the district they're in, if it's R1, it has to meet the same setbacks as a dwelling,
15 feet,
Wh-
25.
whatever they are, exactly. And so it still has to meet those setbacks. I do know that for sure.
Okay.
One of the other things that we sent back, was the unregistered cars, junk cars on property. So we're asking the planning commission to research that out. We're kind of looking for no more than 3. Anything over that is they're going to get fined so much per month. For a junk car. So we have to research that before we can say we can or can't. One of the things that we were thinking about is following the state guidelines for that. Rather than reinvent the wheel.
So how do you treat the difference between Lonzo Bizon and Wayne Mativi?
A business is treated totally different than a resident.
Okay.
Businesses have to follow their regulations within their business. So if Alonzo has in his business that's what he's doing, he's fine. But if I wanted to put 10 junk cars on my piece of property and have them, I'm going to get fined for 7 of them. I can have 3. And a lot of this, I know some of the stuff, I was in the planning commission meeting last night. I know some of the stuff that came up last night, they're researching it out. If they're visible from the road, if they're not visible from the road or the neighbors, then it's, opens up a whole nother can of worms. But
I'm collecting certain vintage cars,
But it's-
so these are things that you're addressing.
that's right. The planning commission's looking into that.
I didn't understand that, Mike. What did you say? That you were talking about cars visible from either from a neighboring residents and public right of way?
Oh, right, a public highway or public right of way. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So if they're stored, that's totally different.
Yes, that's what I wanted. I couldn't understand that first. Okay.
Yeah. So if you haven't stored into a building,
Like Gary
Well,
down
then
there
you're fine.
next to Jimmy's.
Yeah.
They're in a building, junk or not, who knows?
Right.
They're Gary's.
But if they're behind a landscape fence, is that considered the same thing? So they're not visible by anybody?
No, if they're behind a fence, they're totally fine. You can have 50 cars behind your landscape fence.
Ah, that's
Okay.
good. That's what I was wondering too.
But we can still go up County Road, you can see Wayne's.
Oh, dear God.
Be in view, in public view then, right?
Right, it has to be in view. That's right, Cindy.
So Lonzo owns a property down in the Hogback,
Right.
so is it covered?
I wouldn't say so because that's not the business property.
That's not the business property.
That's
So,
where the discrepancy would. come.
right. I would think he would have to apply for a permit to have the business extend to that,
So these were
to
the,
that property.
was that who owns that piece on Hogsback? It's Lonzo?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know who acquired that.
There's quite a number of cars there.
Yeah. I came out through there not too long ago and I noticed that.
I know one of these things, I'm gonna bring it up on the planning commission anyway. But just as a heads up for this board too, is I know like my dad had a car, still in my mom's yard. It's an old 32 Ford. It was just on our, even though it's not a whole car, but it's a frame and cab and all that. Is that gonna be deciphered through you on that for the administrative zoning? Or is that something that we should?
Well, that would qualify for one car.
So that's
I would think, John. I mean, I'm not positive, that's
like
something.
your sister's got 2 in the yard.
Yeah,
At this point.
those need to go in.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just
I would
saying.
agree to
no,
get rid of that.
Right, but no, I'm just saying she's got 2 in the yard,
Right,
but they can't count those 2
right.
and your dad's because 2
Right.
separate properties, am I
Right.
correct?
Right, two separart properties,
Right.
exactly,
Okay, she has a third, then she's at the max,
right.
and then from there.
So if you only have the one car in your yard, lawn art, whatever you want to call it, you're totally fine. You could have 2 more and you'd still be totally fine. You
Right.
add that 4th,
And those are unregistered.
unregistered.
What's the time frame on this as far as moving?
I think it was 30 days.
Okay.
I think
so
is
it's-
what the proposal was. But there again, that's back at the planning commission for discussion,
Right.
Right.
okay? We just send it back there so
This
the
goes back
planning.
to the junk ordinance, which
Right,
we've been
right.
working on.
It's a can of worms.
You
It is.
were there for that
It
too,
is.
Jimmy, yeah.
But,
You know,
I
but,
know we had that conversation before.
well, but in my
You
opinion,
haven't hit the lottery and you want a car for every day of the week, as long as they're running and registered, you're cool, right?
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Just in case.
I think you guys are right. It is a can of worms, but I think it's a can of worms that finally needs to be visited
Absolutely.
and needs to be dealt with and taken care of. I'm a firm believer in you need some teeth in your bark. If you just bark and bark and bark and you don't have any teeth when you bark, you showing, then you have nothing to go with. And I'm not, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to make Pownal some kind of crazy place. I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit to make things a little better.
Kind
Period.
of like when you could drive Route 7 and see.
Well, this is the other thing, you got Kevin down
Zero.
there with a couple of cars in a carport. Now the door's open, and is it classified as storage? Or is it just, how many carports do we need in the yard?
We got Ronnie up back.
Right, no, yeah, there's a lot of instances, so now we gotta go, okay, do we qualify as storage as a carport? And it's something for you guys to consider, is it carport enough? Is a tarp considered covering? Just things that go through my mind.
Well, that's right. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I need to go back to the planning commission. I think we need to figure out what the state is going with. And then we can adjust. We can either, I guess you guys could either send it back to the select board, whatever the state says,
Do you
or you can adjust accordingly.
back to campers, do you include campers in there?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's a difference between registered, unregistered. There's a whole fine line there.
And just plain junk.
Sure,
Right,
right, Jimmy,
Right.
that's
And
exactly
sorry,
what it
you
is.
know,
No,
right.
you're right.
On the planning board, we try to put out some notices to people when junk was valuable.
Yeah.
There was a period there.
Actually, junk's way up again right
I
now. So
understand.
now's the time to go.
Absolutely.
Now's the time to go, man. If you guys
$350
go.
for a car,
Yeah.
But they didn't bite, but we did put out the name of certain people that were taking junk and, we tried. And that's all we could do.
Right.
Right.
So if somebody wants to collect cars, junk cars, then after 3, then they have to become a business of some sort.
You know
Yeah.
what, Cindy, I think there's, make
value
them
there, yes.
apply.
There's
They don't
always
have to
gonna be-
become a business. They just have to make sure they're not visible from the road or their neighbors.
Right.
So
That's it.
Exception.
still in violation then.
Yes.
And Wayne's about to get a new neighbor, so I don't know how this.
God bless.
Yeah.
we're gonna hear about it. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah, so there again, you gotta get some bite, you gotta get some teeth in your bite, in your bark to go and say, okay, it's time to do something. Put up a fence, do whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
It would have to be zoned for business too, if
Well,
that's the
I'll
case.
give you an example. One thing I know I'm dealing with right now. I even called the state troopers in on it and they both told me it's a civil suit. So that's where I'm going to be talking about on the planning commission. But one of mom's tenants, he's been gathering lots of junk. He's not a junkyard. Paul Hodgman, everybody knows Paul Hodgman, it's got junk stuff.
Yeah.
He approved that a long time ago. He's got a business set up with it. Dad let him do it because he got set up with the business, but the one below him, if you drive up the drive Jackson, you'll see right above mom's house, he's got a ton of it pulled in there now. He bought the trailer for mom. And it's gotten to be a mess. Well, this spring, mud road, I went down there, they're riding four-wheelers up and down it. So I got pissed, went down there and you guys are gonna be raking this shit out. You know, I started yelling. Who would, right?
Right.
But I said on top of that, all this shit's gotta go. You can't have all this garbage here. He said, it's mine, I can have it here. So I said, well, call the state and have them come down here. And they didn't want to move their ATVs and stuff, that's why I called. It's a civil suit. I would have to go after them, or mom would have to go after them to do that. So how do we, that's gonna be one of my things, how do we
Sure.
deal with that? Because
Deal with it.
I'm not gonna be having, spend a ton of money, or my mom spend a
No.
ton of money to try to get him cleaned up. What are we gonna do about enforcement? If, can we get somebody, a health officer or whoever to go out and say, yeah, this has gotta go. We'll let the landlord know, but this has gotta go, or you're gonna start getting fined to help push those issues.
We could check around other towns and see what kind of zoning and what kind of laws they have to help create ours.
Let's look at crossing the Resca's line.
Mhm.
I mean, what he's
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Well, right, I think we need to look into that stuff, and I think
But
that's
now
where.
his stuff is for sale, so
yeah,
is he
I
becoming a
understand,
business?
but he's applied, has he applied for a
No.
salesman? No, he hasn't. I don't.
Not
he
that I
hasn't.
know, no.
No. And then you got to cross the street down in there where he's giving away the manure.
Right.
Okay, and it's like the climb running down there. There's a camper there with lights on. And nice people bought the old Oak School.
Yeah.
And they're, concerned that what's going on there between the manure and the light and the
The
camper.
internet is failing here.
Oh, God.
Well,
Is it mine?
Right, and I think honestly, I really would like the planning commission and the DRB to be looking into these kinds of things, and as a zoning administrator and as a select board member, I know on the select board, we got some differing opinions on what people should and should not be allowed to do with their property. And I'm not sitting here saying that we should, in my opinion, I'm not saying we should say, okay, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that, we need to clean up the town a little bit. It's gotten kind of out of hand and there's no reason for it. And I'm not saying everybody has to have their house on the cover of Better Homes and Garden either. But, let's take a little pride in our town and get it so it looks,
That's the approach I think you're on.
yeah.
That property is valuable.
Yes.
I mean, let's go, and your neighbor doesn't deserve to be.
And we've got some interest in town, as you guys are well aware.
yeah.
So let's not dissuade somebody because of a few eyesores. And it's, at this point, it's more than a few, but it's still a few.
Yeah, in the right places though, in the wrong places, excuse me.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
I mean, people drive through Pownal, and we got the pack right here later on.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
So I think we could talk about this all night long.
Yeah, we could.
It's just
Yeah, we're just beating a dead horse, really, right at this point, because
stop for you guys.
but it's just to the planning board,
Right.
they were saying it's gone on for a long time, and
I
when I first came to
over
Pownal,
a
I
year,
liked
we
Pownal
discussed it
because it was
already.
a live and let live town.
Right.
People really didn't bother anybody. But over the time, the farms closed up, things closed up, and the junk stayed out there and whatever. And it was one time valuable. I don't know why, somebody didn't cash in on it.
One of the other things that we sent back to the planning commission and the board was, and I think it's probably just a little, I think it's probably just a oversight, is that it's designated in the new bylaws as hunting and fishing camps. But I believe that it probably should just read camps anyways, period. Doesn't have to be a hunting or a fishing camp. But right now, in the new proposed bylaws, the only place that a camp, hunting and fishing camp definition is allowed is in forest zone. And I think it should be in RR1 and RR2, because there's a lot of people who own property, a significant amount of property in those two zoning districts that may want to just have a camp on their property, just to get away for a night or two or whatever. Not necessarily just for hunting and fishing. They just may want to have a retreat to get away with no electricity and no anything at all,
How
So
would you,
The other
Mike?
side of their property, sure.
Mike, I got a question.
Sure.
How would you differentiate that from a second residence?
I'll give you an example. Bobby Pupar, okay, he lives 40 acres next to me,
right,
and he's got a big deal, and he lives down the road. He's got a nice camp there, and no septic or anything, and just to get away from, we'll take the boys, his grandsons out hunting and whatever,
sure,
but not around the home. He got plenty of room out there. He doesn't bother anybody.
right.
But he does need, he did go through the listers, and they have to check on this. And so he needs to apply, these people need to apply for something so the list can go take a look at it.
Right. Mike,
I
I got a
think,
question to you. How would you differentiate that from a,
well, I think that a camp, I think there's some designations for it and definitions of it, Carl. I don't have those. in
oh,
my-
I understand that. That's where you would have to have, this is what a camp is. Camp can't have, you can have an outhouse, but that's one of those composting toilets or something like that. But,
Aretha Williams have a camp within walking distance of their house
oh yeah,
with no amenities, but yet it's not a hunting and a fishing camp. So it's just a getaway for them. So there's also needs to be some verbiage for that, I think.
Yeah. we
No,
gotta
for
get
sure.
away,
Yeah.
Get
For
a
sure.
getaway.
I think that's
Just get out
what,
of the house.
We're in Parham, hunting and fishing's been a big thing for a long time.
Yeah.
So naturally you call it hunting and fishing.
Right,
But
right.
it's time to change.
It's time to change it.
Maybe you call it like a man cave or a woman cave, so you get away.
A she
Yeah.
shed, right? Could be
Yeah.
a she shed.
Yeah, she shed.
Yeah.
Man cave or a she shed.
There's a lot of designations, and I think you could, I think it's pretty easily definable, Carl, to answer
Yep.
your question. But I think you're absolutely right. It probably needs to be defined through the planning commission.
correct.
And I think, that's just an oversight of what we sent them back for. One of the other things that we sent it back, which is gonna take some time. These other things are, in my opinion, are fairly minor and fairly quick changes so that we can get the new bylaws adopted. And then we want the planning commission, this came up with the board level. We want the planning commission to look into some industrial areas to try to designate something for industrial. Because right now we don't have something for heavy manufacturing. Not that there's anything looking to come in, but if somebody were to look, we don't have anything available.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I kept bringing up down there.
So-
They were taking it village, making it village, and it was like, if we take all of our commercial or any kind of industrial away, where do we put a big business if it comes
Well,
in? So,
the village designations allow for light manufacturing, and warehouses, some different things. They don't allow for the heavy manufacturing. Now, I mean, then once again, it's my opinion. I don't see anybody beating the door down. They haven't been beating the door down for a lot of years, and they're not going to beat it down now. But that being said, I did agree that we probably should try, at least give it a valiant effort to try to find an area, and maybe we can't, but we should at least try to find that. So that went back to the planning commission, but that's gonna take some time.
So this is going to become, in all actuality and possibility, a contentious issue because the Johnson Control property in Bennington is zoned industrial. The DRB up there will not allow anything other than industrial there.
Right.
So you may want to make sure there's a little verbiage for variances.
No,
right now,
absolutely.
You know, here's what the planning commissions are gonna have to be. They're gonna have to do some fancy wordsmithing.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
you
Jimmy.
know, they
I
gotta,
mean, if it's concrete industrial and that's it, I'm not for it.
No.
Okay,
I
you
got
gotta
you.
have some
right,
variation.
you gotta come before the DRB and tell,
Give me your.
go with your case.
Yeah,
Put your case there.
sell it.
And I think that works.
No, me too.
Yeah.
I
Me
mean,
too.
There's
You
no
know,
fancy things. If somebody could come up with
Okay.
an idea if we don't want.
Sure.
you know.
not that somebody couldn't come in to that industrial zone
Mhm.
and have light manufacturing, and they buy the property and
If they
boom, this
wanted
is
to
what they
do
want to
larger
do.
retail,
Mhm.
I'm okay with that too.
Right,
that's
so,
good. Yeah,
so,
anything.
but we do limit ourselves without having anything at all,
Right.
potentially limit ourselves. And like I said, I'm not totally sold on it, but we do, I think we do owe it to the town in this new bylaw plan, at least to research it out and try to find something,
Yeah, we
you
do.
know.
And you know, I hate to say it, but Mr. Soul is holding us hostage.
Mhm.
You know, that land is, it could be not in, anything but recreational. It's such,
I've been in contact with him a little bit in the last month or so. I think honestly, we got to get a couple of things nailed down here. The town, honestly, the town office the new town hall has taken up an incredible amount of my time.
I thought you said Megan had that all taken care of.
we're in good shape. Don't get me wrong. We're in really good shape with the new town hall. And we got a lot of things moving forward. We got some timelines going. We're not in bad shape at all, but it's taken an incredible amount of time. These bylaws have taken, going over this stuff has eaten up some time. But
No, yeah, I know
solar's
expect
on
you
my
to.
radar. And I gotta say that it's almost time that we as the town push that organization a little bit
Speaking
to
of
get
that,
something done.
is there any verbiage in here that would address a situation like that?
Only thing would be a fire. How long would a fire?
Well, yes, there is, Matt.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so
We touched that.
right, to answer that question, that's one thing that did come up at the select board meeting as well. Right now in our current bylaws, it's 1 year that's right, 1 year from burning. And you probably know this, right, from your situation, John, and 1 year to complete. So it's a 2-year window. In the new bylaws, the proposed bylaws, it's a 3-year to start and 3-year to complete, which gives us a total of 6 years, basically. And it came up, there was a motion made for 5 and 5, and it didn't get a second. I firmly believe that 3 and 3 is plenty of time because it gives you a 6-year window. 5 and 5 gives you a decade. And I think that's way too much.
You were way under that with yours, Carl. Your shop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Timely manner. You got it taken care of, got it rebuilt.
Right.
John, same way. The
Yeah.
track,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, I'm not-
complete, but it's.
You're-
I'm
it's
working
happening.
on it.
And I'm
It's
not even,
inevitable.
I'm not even sold on the 3 and 3,
Mhm.
but I really didn't want to argue that point to.
But a larger
And-
project,
Well,
maybe.
that's right, but a
That's a
larger
bigger
project could
project,
take
right.
3 years, The average person, if they're, like you, John, that had, the unfortunate circumstance of having a house fire would suck, no doubt. But but you wanted to get back in the house. You just wanted to get it done, and the average person's gonna do that anyways.
They do.
Something along the magnitude of the racetrack, yeah, it may take 3 years to
So
get.
is there
but
gonna
I-
be some fines levied with this?
What we do,
Or-
let's forget the fire. This is abandoned property.
Right.
Sure, same
So-
thing.
So
Jim.
let's go back to abandoned property, not the fire.
Right.
Okay,
And, you
Yeah,
know,
that's why. I
if
feel
they
now
had
it's
any
abandoned.
insurance, you could say they've argued with an
Mhm.
insurance company for something, but it's been an abandoned property long enough. To where,
Yeah.
It's time we push them. It really is time we push them.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, if you look back at the time frame, it's been empty for all this time. They haven't done anything with it
Yeah.
all this time. A fire is only something that happened in between,
Yep.
so.
the
It would have
last
been
thing
still
was-
abandoned
was
if it,
there was a car show there at
Right.
some time. That's the last thing.
right.
So in a nutshell, the new bylaws are much more streamlined than the old ones. A little easier to follow.
Oh, yeah.
And they give us, they still give the DRB, you know, because that's where we're at, the meeting for you guys. You still have all the provisions that you had, you know, for your stipulations and your guidelines and your, you know, for variances and everything else. They're still all there for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, you still carry that same weight that you always have. Just a little more streamlined, a little easier to follow.
is there anything that would address the Adler property? Speaking of abandoned zombie properties.
There you go.
I don't think
There's
there's
talk about a
anything,
can of worms.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, we threw Pownal's a can of worms.
I don't think
Stop.
there's anything
Every
in
corner.
here,
So,
so
no, I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many
no, you're right.
instances that
Mhm.
this is a hazard.
Right.
I think that's a great point. I don't think it's, I don't know if it's ever been brought up at the planning commission and when they were doing
No,
these, drafting
No,
these
I don't remember
bylaws.
talking about it at all.
So I really think, I think that's something that could go back to the planning commission.
Yeah.
And be addressed along with the industrial. I think that's something that's probably not a quick fix, in my opinion.
No.
But I think it's something that needs to be looked at. So I think those are great points. I'm glad we did this meeting tonight just for this.
Yeah.
You know, just something
We'll
to,
do
Yeah.
that.
as things come
forget.
about, you think, and
That's
you're
right,
like,
things
okay,
you don't think
it's
about.
just Adler's property, but
It's
what
been a-
if
been a
it's
Pile of stuff there for a while now.
Billy Mason's property is,
So I think,
And it's obviously not rebuilding over there. There's
no,
rebuilding,
and I don't
so-
know about provisions of the deed and all these other things that are gonna come up and, you know, the quandary that's gonna happen, but, you know, if there's something that can be done where you can nudge them in a direction.
Yeah.
so,
Right.
so I think, in my opinion, these are things that you guys can have Megan draft up a couple of those things that you're talking about and have her send that to the planning commission to, you know, say, hey, these are things we came up, the abandoned properties type thing.
Mhm.
And you know, she could send it back to the planning commission. Like I said, I think that zombie property or whatever you want to call it, the abandoned property is gonna take, that's gonna take some time to figure that out. But the good news,
Mike,
the good
is
news,
there a legal definition of an abandoned property?
we can amend the bylaws anytime. It doesn't have to be done right now.
I think they have been working on it, Carl, as far as time frame and maintenance and, you know,
Okay.
like Jody Costas's property, somebody finally got in there, fixed it up. They're living there.
Yep.
Perfect, good. That's what I like to see. Sawyer's is probably the next one that's gonna be
Mhm.
an eyesore. There's, you know, there's lots of instances and just, you know, if there's some kind of provision, whether we can or we can't, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you start throwing, dot your I's and cross your T's. That's always my motto.
Burrington's
I
number,
have a question.
that's come up. There's a house, there's a barn. Joel, he will be furious
I know,
if we were on TV and he heard it, but
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
I know.
The house out behind number one.
There's,
You're
you
gonna-
could go around town, you
Oh,
can,
sure.
every road,
I
every.
no.
We could do French Hill forever.
Sure.
I mean,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, how do these abandoned properties stand as far as taxes go? Are people paying any taxes on that, or are they abandoned and sitting there for years?
Some yes, some no. The abandoned ones that are not paying their taxes, Ellen Ellen's pretty good about going after those.
Like Wendell's pieces.
There's a time frame for that?
Some of them.
She has her own thing with that, Cindy. She's the only one that would be able to answer that.
Oh, okay, all right. Just curious.
Yeah, but
think
I
it's-
know
I
she
think
does
it's
go
an
after
average of
some.
2 years. You get 2 years and then they go after.
I
it.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. I think you're right, John. 2 years, and then after that, they go.
And then you look at the property, after 2 years, you don't really want it.
Mhm.
Nobody's gonna buy it.
I don't know, is Wendell doing anything with his up
I
there?
don't
or-
have any idea.
Okay, same thing.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years now.
I,
So
If you'd leveled it,
I
and filled
think
it in, it
that's-
might be better.
I think that's something that needs to be sent back to the planning commission. I think that's a great idea and let them visit that.
Yep.
It'll give them something to do. They were worried about not having anything to do. They gotta know.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny. And I'm sure Jim would have some input on it.
well, for over 50 years, trying to figure out Pownal. And basically, I love the place. And,
Mhm.
it's, and I always thought the live and let live attitude, but now it's gotten valuable. Actually, Pownal's a diamond in the rough
Mhm.
with the mountain and the valley, and it's just,
Certainly is.
it
Which
really
is-
is.
I-
But they gotta find Jody. You kind of just want people to do under weathers, like,
I think I said this last night in the planning commission meeting, and I'll tell you guys the same exact thing. I have had an incredible amount of interest from prospective buyers of different pieces of property for some small commercial operations. IBM hasn't called me, I'll be honest, but there's some small prospective.
Bill Gates is gonna have a little time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The Roost building has been sold. A matter of fact, I gotta do the verification on that tonight while I'm here. I've had some inquiries on the moccasin shop on Route 7. I've had a couple of questions on across the street here from the town office on the old art center. I know I'm in contact with Ronnie and Olden Dwyer constantly about ideas that for the old Tournament's garage. They're bouncing. They got a million ideas in their head down there, and they're just trying to find something that's going to be. They're really working hard to try to find something that's going to be good for the town as well as good for them. I mean, let's face it, they're looking to make money. If they weren't, they're
Of course
crazy.
they
But
would.
but they're also looking for something that's good for the town. And so that's why we're in contact all the time. I mean, we talk we talk 2 or 3 times a month, either by phone or if Ronnie happens to be there when I stop in for a sandwich or whatever. So there's a lot of ideas bouncing around down there, and most of them are really good ideas that we just have to bring to fruition. They're in my opinion, they're really good ideas for the town. Really good ideas for town. I think the when the deal goes through for Rogers Roost, if what was discussed with me happens there, which I believe it's gonna, I think that's gonna be awesome for the town. It's gonna be a really cool setup that's gonna be great for everybody here. And I don't want to elaborate on that because I want the owner to
Mhm.
do whatever she's got to do and
Sure, it'll be for the board.
come here and do whatever. But
Yeah.
but I really think that's a tremendous idea that she has. Moving forward, I told her that that was something that Pownal could really use, and it would be awesome if she could make it happen. So.
Well, the big thing about it is the people that are in business now in Pownal are doing well. I mean, really.
Let's face it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
good.
I've
I'm
been
good.
42 years there.
Right.
But I think that that's something that's.
Carl's good.
something
Carl's
that's
always
good.
been good.
It depends who you ask.
But it's tough to break into the new business in town. So, you know, if we can make it a little bit more friendly for somebody to come in.
You know, the store in North Pownal, you know, we had this guy that talked about last night, comes down, he's got a lot of good ideas, but I've talked to Debbie about, you know, get in touch with this person, the guy from the state, all the money that's, you know, North Pownal needs a spark. Just, you know, something good could happen there.
Yeah.
That
I
store,
thought the church guy was gonna be a little something.
yeah, that's true, yeah. was
Okay,
another
that didn't, that kind of fizzled a little
I-
bit.
I
But you got the
think-
ball field, you've got opportunities.
Yep.
I think it's a matter of time before somebody comes into North Pownal and sees the potential. I think it just needs the right person.
Maybe
Yeah. Oh,
O'Donovan's,
yeah.
maybe O'Donovan will
Well,
get
he's
something
gonna,
going.
he's gonna open a pizza place.
Okay, maybe something will start
And
there
that
and work
tracks.
its way in.
He's trying,
two
he's cleaning
directions.
out that property really well.
We got
No,
Tom D,
the-
we got Tom D's daughter up on the hill.
Yeah.
Very, very nice
Yeah.
individual to have, as far as I'm concerned.
Sean and Priscilla have done a great job cleaning that up, and they do have some ideas that
Yep.
she's been talking to me about, and we've been
Yeah.
working back and forth, and she's actually got a,
Hey, Mike,
yep.
did you guys vote on sending all the zoning regs back to the planning board to redo again? Or
Pretty-
just those couple ones?
have to send them all back, Carl. But
Yeah,
we only had those I think there was 4 bullet points.
okay.
Everything else we were very comfortable with, but,
Until this meeting.
right,
Yeah.
but, well, that's right.
So now,
So,
which is
so
good.
that's why
Our concerns could.
Matt-
could go
Matt
in.
and I-
Right. A question I would have would be, what has changed between the old zoning and the new zoning? I mean, I can read pretty good, but if I read this whole zoning bylaw, I think I'd have a headache and then try to read the other one and figure out what the differences is. Do you have a bullet point or something like that that would say, okay, this is what we changed between the old and the new?
Yeah, one of the things is, on a new one that actually I think helped a lot for me too, was everything is underlined. If any of the changes that are actually in it are underlined.
Yeah.
So that's the real
The
changes.
changes are underlined and the new ones. Okay,
Yeah.
So you can pick them up fairly
So you
easy.
pick it up really easy.
okay. Did you take anything out?
Wait,
Yes, there's a bunch of stuff that came
Sure.
out. There's like 38 pages
Yeah.
that came out.
I put it on the scale, it's about a pound difference.
Yes. I was
And-
gonna
and-
So
say-
like a lot of 7.4-2, there's a whole bunch underlined as far as all that goes.
Right.
Okay, no, I just,
So we've got new provisions there. 6.6, nothing.
We're on, after this discussion, we'll get back to it, open up.
Mike, would it be advisable to maybe have a meeting and just kind of parse this through? I hate to say it,
Well, I think
chapter by chapter, just so we have an idea, or,
this is where Mike and I were discussing whether or not to even have this meeting, Carl. And I'm like, you know what? Megan brought it up. She was like, do we have a meeting? I was like, yeah, this is a great idea for us to take this and digest it individually.
Yeah.
So we sit here at your own leisure, and then throw either back to the planning or back to the select board, either one. And as a DRB, we can say, okay, I don't know how we're gonna handle this provision when it comes up in front of us.
yes,
Give us some guidance there. Or
Yeah.
what, or
our input.
Carl, if you just take this and you sit down in your skivvies and read it.
Okay, thank you for that mental image.
Just trying to scare you away.
But again, it's underlined stuff for the new stuff. If it's not in there,
Yeah.
there's a lot that's gone. So, it's just,
But I think that it would be nice if we could have a meeting that we could sit down and kind of just go through it.
Yep.
Chapter by chapter and just discuss it. And then kind of say, okay, planning board, here's what our thoughts of this is.
Rather
you
than
know-
that, or just bring the concerns as you,
As we go through it.
Idea, bring it to this board
yeah.
and then let's,
right.
So we're not hour after hour of
Right.
just,
Oh, I understand. That's why yes.
it could take, if you could do that, it'd take you a long time.
I think,
I think-
Carl, you just go through it individually,
Yeah,
concerns.
Yeah.
And then we do this here.
again,
Like the selectmen. Somebody wants one car, somebody wants a state law.
Right.
And you know, that's.
Yeah.
so-
but when we're looking at it, not from, well, one car, that's planning. We're looking at it from, okay, when this comes up before our board, is it something that's going to give us a hard time when it comes up before our board, if you know what I mean?
Right, it's gonna take you some time, Carl, there's no doubt, to go through this and read it and see what there is and what there isn't, the changes, because, you know, but honestly, I think from what I've read through it, I'll be honest, I've read the whole thing, but I've read most of it. And
When's it gonna come out on audiobook?
I think it's,
Megan will work on that.
It's like Mike working with wires,
Yeah.
okay?
She's doing it now.
Trying to find
Yeah,
with the old Turnavine garage. You know, it's gonna take some time, but it's a good sign.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a positive sign.
no, I'm excited, I said this last night to the planning commission.
Yeah.
I sound like a broken record, but I'm excited about where Pownal's headed right now. And I think it's the planning commission's job. I think it's the DRB's job. I think it's the zoning administrator's job. And I think it's the select board's job I don't think it's on any one board shoulders. I think it belongs on everybody's shoulders that's involved in these right now to keep moving it forward in a positive way and just to keep it going. We just got to keep it going forward. We're going forward. We just got to keep it going that way, and we have to make it fairly easy for people to come into town. You know, we don't want a tire burning plan. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But you know, there's a lot of pretty viable small businesses out there that we can bring into town, and we can get some decent employment. You know, if it's 10 places with 10 jobs each, that's 100 jobs. You know, it's simple math. You know,
The dog park is a classic. Just think about it. I mean, it's a busy place.
yeah.
I mean, people like it. It's out of the way, doesn't bother anything, quiet and.
Great service.
You know, but I don't even want to get into the motel.
Right. There's
Right. No, and when we were hearing about the pavilions and the cabana and all that.
Yeah.
And they sit there blatantly, lie to us and tell us, oh, there's not a lot of police activity there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
really.
So more or less.
Yeah,
What are they gonna do?
the night before was full.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then, you know, on the tire burning plant, another beaverwood shows up.
Yeah.
How are we gonna handle that?
I know.
You know, we're gonna have provisions in there for these kind of things, and you never think of them all,
No,
but
no.
as they, you know, somebody wants to put in a small airport.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you know, we gotta have some language on that, I suppose.
Sure.
'Cause,
No,
you know,
there's a lot of things that aren't going to be covered, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
you
But
deal with them as they come.
that's
Right.
right. I think everything, I think all in all, it's pretty good set of plans, and I think you guys go over it and bring your stuff back to the planning commission. And you know, they're gonna be working on these. They set people and gave people their task last night.
Well, I've heard there's interest in Barber's Pond, so
There is interest in.
I'm not sure what's gonna happen over there, and we've gotta be ready for
It's,
this.
it's a whole nother world right now that we live in because of the COVID and whatever. People are just looking to do different things.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to be prepared for it. And we have to be prepared, in my opinion, we have to be prepared to think outside the box and welcome some of the things that we personally may not support or be involved in. But yet it's good for the town of Pownal.
So, back to the camp thing, just popped into my head. How does Vermont qualify? Are those second homes? Are those camps? Are those, it was originally camps. Now they become second homes.
I don't know, because
So-
they're pre these bylaws. so
Right,
there's
no,
nothing-
I'm just
yeah.
saying now, on this, on the Barber's Pond thing, does one become the other?
I think that's where the definition has to be pretty clear of camp,
Somewheres.
second home, and whatever. I think it's got to be pretty defined out,
Yeah.
you know.
When Herbie Lewis owned it, he had what he had.
Yeah.
But I know the people close to it, and it's kind of a mess.
And the pavilion is still out back,
I know.
whatever's
I
left
know.
to it.
Yeah.
Access to that, I'm not sure. How do you handle a new pavilion on Barber's Pond per se? Are you gonna allow it?
I don't
under
know.
These bylaws.
It was-
Let's look at the bylaws. And nobody has bought Barber's Pond yet. And I agree with you. We should be thinking that way.
Right.
But we could turn around and have all these things in our head. I think that we have to kind of have our ducks in a row with the bylaws and just let the things fall where they may. If we've put good bylaws together, then it isn't an issue.
It gives us a
I think
start.
that's right. But I think you gotta research it out and make sure, if you have an idea, I think you gotta discuss it.
Yeah.
and
I
there's
wouldn't
still-
keep it a secret.
The
No,
east side
this-
of town is still a pretty good, as well as I do, Carl. We got a lot of open space over there.
The east side of town sucks. Nobody wants to live there. Nobody. Okay. Let's just say it. All right. If people should move to the south and to the north and to the center.
But we did.
Where's the line?
Okay, Matt. Shh.
we
Oh,
we do have a lot of emphasis on staying in the village, in the parts of town that are settled.
Yeah.
somebody still collects rent over there, those trailers, okay?
Yeah.
And I know who they are, and
Yeah.
I asked them. about
Not
things.
the most
No,
lovely.
no.
Okay,
Okay.
so you guys want to move on to PJ.
Yes.
Mike, back to you on that.
He sees for sale.
Yeah, this permit application is for the piece of property that has formerly had the flea market or whatever. It's north of Dollar General and Strohmeyer's on the same side of the road. So I finally got Patrick to send us in a permit application to come before the DRB. So, for you guys to review over, I thought this would be a good idea to bring it up tonight. I didn't think the bylaw thing would go as long as it did, but you guys are long-winded. So I think reviewing this over, we have a public hearing set, I think, for the 2nd. Is that?
Well, she's got it as the 9th on the draft.
Oh.
You guys want it the 2nd or the 9th? This is,
The 9th, I think would be,
the 9th would be better, Carl?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's 1 week versus the next. As
Yeah, I
far
don't
as-
know. I don't know if you could do it. If she isn't.
How does it work with you, Mike? Because I think you should be there.
Oh, I'll be there. Don't- I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Because I got some questions on it.
Have it the 9th now, if it hasn't been warned, because it has to be 15 days. And it's only 14 days to the 2nd.
Okay,
The night.
So it has to be the 9th, which is totally fine.
good job.
So I just thought that if you guys could review this over, I think maybe we should, this is a thought that I've had anyways. Certain things come up that have to come before the DRB. If you guys could review it a little bit beforehand as individuals, then maybe it'll streamline your process when you have a public hearing on it. And make it a little quicker. It gives you that little bit of a heads up on what's going on and what's what you guys might want to think about for for stipulations, guidelines, yes, no, whatever.
So we're not stumbling over each other.
That's right.
I think you
We're
already
getting
asked that too,
Yeah.
anyway, just getting emails prior.
Yeah,
If we get an email prior, we can.
Primarily,
review
I'm
it all.
thinking of the person who's buying Rogers Roost.
well,
Uh-huh.
and
Who's a neighbor.
that's something that Megan, I was gonna have this conversation with Megan, we'll have it right now. I have that, verification that I have to do, but I have to use your computer because I can't get into my laptop, because it's locked me out. So when you send that verification to that lawyer, we should send a letter in this instance that there is a permit application for the property next door, because she's gonna be an abutting landowner and she's not now. Okay, so you can figure out the verbiage in that.
We can
It
give
should go to
her,
that lawyer.
we can give her the opportunity to voice her concern.
Right, and so I got thinking about that today, Matt. We've already set precedents with that. The discussion we had earlier.
Yep.
When Boxer came in with Armstrong,
Yep.
when we did that public hearing, Boxers were in here about that subdivision.
Yes.
I mean, it's really no different. It's a public hearing. She should have as much opportunity to talk about it, even being, because Boxers were not
The owner.
the owners at the time, but they were here to talk.
Right.
So the DRB's already set that precedent.
Now, what is it that's going on with it? What's he applying for?
They're applying for a flea market
What's a
permit.
flea
They have a vendor's license. I've seen the vendor's license from the state of Vermont. So I guess where I'm coming from, John, is
Do you have the section, Megan, that's gonna apply to that?
we can put some
Okay.
regulations, I
Did
guess,
you-
for lack of a better term. The DRB, not me, not me. It's nothing to do with me.
No,
It's
no,
gonna
no.
protect
You
Just
guys,
teeth it.
you guys have the
Flea market
opportunity,
vendors,
in my mind, to regulate what goes on there,
no,
and how
when-
many storage
when- for the
facilities
permit,
or whatever
Which-
you want to
which
do.
section of
There's,
the bylaws is going to?
there's a
Oh,
million things, I guess, you could do or not do.
no, yeah.
Mike, I got a question.
Right.
Yep.
And it kind of-
If I can ask it, I don't know, but I'll ask it, and then you can tell me I can't ask it until the 9th. It says minimum 33 foot setback. Is that from the edge of the road or the center of the road?
It's from the state right away.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep. From the state right away.
Okay.
In the application, I don't know if you guys got that or not. Probably not. But in the application, Patrick has already put in some things, quote unquote, that he's going to do and provide in that, to have this become a viable business place. I think there was some gravel drawn in and for a driveway and whatever. He does have some things that he's already put in there. So I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to talk about it and not stumble over it, like Matt said, on the night of the public hearing. And then, you should be able to come out and bang it out and be done with it and have everything, good to go.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Who is the abutting landowner on the south? Is that Peaceful Valley?
Yes.
I have a question. I thought we did a subdivision on that trailer
Yes, we did.
between Peaceful Valley and Gray's.
Yes.
Yes. But I don't think there's ever been anything filed.
And does
Okay.
it, PJ, go around the back side of that trailer and abut in the back part towards the brook?
I don't remember. We had it. We had it all.
I don't think it goes all the way back. I mean, that part that he broke off doesn't go all the way back. It goes like halfway back in that field. Like, it wasn't that big of a lot.
Well, I think it went into rural. I think it split on the zoning, the two different zones. I do know that.
That piece of property is in the overlay district. You're absolutely right. Goes from village to RR1, I believe.
That does.
Actually, I think it's RR1 there. I'm not sure. I
I'm
can tell
trying
you.
to remember. I remember talking about that. I think that goes, the overlay goes up to the top of the hill.
The new proposed,
Right, the new
right? But you're
proposed
not
bill.
gonna be working on those yet.
Right.
You're gonna be working on
the old
these,
one
so.
still, yeah. It's in that area though. I'm not sure what it is. It's one or two there.
Yeah,
One.
and I just don't know how that would,
Yeah, that is in the village and RR1 overlay district.
That'd give us something to think
for
about.
much, but
Right, it gives you
Yeah,
a
I
little
know.
something to think about, you know,
Yeah.
it's something you can, you guys can, we've all seen what goes on there. Or potentially goes on there, we've all seen it,
I mean, it's gonna have to
So-
be a little cleaner.
so that now is the opportunity in my mind to,
What do you make them do?
hopefully, and and there again, I'm not trying to discourage a business,
What are we,
but,
what are we
but on the
capable
other hand,
of making
I
them?
don't know, what kind of fence?
Because we know PJ can.
Well, the hard part is if you put too much restriction, then they're not gonna do anything, and then you're pushing businesses down instead of up, but. Gotta,
I
we
know,
know what it looked like, everybody knows what it looked
Oh,
like,
yeah,
so we
yeah.
have to change
Yeah.
that somewhere.
But there's no way that the cars can be lined up along Route 7.
Right, we
Right.
had to have parking area.
you can't. I feel less comfortable about the booths being lined up along Route 7.
Right,
Right,
Right.
right.
I would think absolute distance has gotta be back from the road, just
Yeah.
to keep a safe distance.
hey,
Does the state own money land there?
I'm out of the loop on this one, guys.
No, the state owns my front door. They own the Legion's front door, does the
Yeah, I
set.
don't remember what the distance off the road.
They
is.
own-
110
They own
feet.
to the gas pumps at the up here at the
Yeah, the
store.
old gas pumps, they own it.
Yeah, they own to my front door.
So they had pretty good right of ways. Now, once you got up to the top of Pine Tree Hill, they never acquired those right of ways. I don't know where they narrowed and where they dropped the ball.
That might be something to research.
I remember working on the property at the top where Pine Tree Farm is.
Yeah.
I worked on that property a lot of years, and the fence line, they had that little, used to be a picket fence across there.
Yeah.
That was up to the right of way, because I remember them putting the fence on the right of way, or right on the edge of where it was, so. That's probably 10 feet off the road, roughly 10, 12 feet.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's a nice straightaway there, it's.
I have to ask the question because I'm not too clear. This new proposed flea market area, is this a whole different area than the one that was down by Dwyer's, now Dwyer's?
Yes. Yes,
whole-
this is,
This is the one that's right here past the Dollar General. One right on the side of Route 7 by the,
Do we have anything in town that says that, you can only have so much of any type of business within a certain area? Like if somebody opened up a flea market,
No.
one and someone wanted to open up a third one and a fourth one, and then it would look like Flea Market Alley. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just trying to understand it.
Well, I don't think we don't have a flea market now. The one down there, to answer your question, I guess, Cindy. I don't think that there is anything in the bylaws that said you can't have 10 general stores, for instance. But
Not that anyone's beating down the door for it, but
I do think now is the opportunity to put some guidelines in and have a little bit of say in what goes on there potentially, how much stuff can be stored, what size parking area are you gonna have? Are you gonna have parking for 20 cars
is that in the permit now? we have any of that? in the permit?
There is zero permit for any of it now. That's why I pushed for this, John, because I've been working on it for a while with him. This was not an easy process, I'll be honest.
When Johnny Chapman was putting in the Rogers Roost, Woodbine, they went for a long time about putting bushes up and, it's almost ridiculous. Some of the things he had to do in front of the store.
So
So
we still have, I mean, they still have that, the hole, I think the cellar hole is still there from the
Yeah,
motel, so.
yeah,
I mean, you gotta be careful not having kids running around. and
Right.
Having that wide open too. I mean, that's something. that
Well,
we should look at.
it's
My-
gotta be something we can catch on this.
that's right, and I think you guys are gonna be doing a site visit, in
That's-
my
that's-
opinion, they're again, not telling the DRB what to do, but
No,
you know,
That would be
I-
an
I-
excellent idea.
I mean, I kind of remember what it looks like. I know there's a big cellar hole there.
I think
all
we're
right
gonna need
along,
some
so-
stakes and some ribbons and.
and that's totally fine. I mean,
think we're gonna
I
need
think,
to have-
I think this gives you guys the opportunity to,
This is showing that we can do something with this guy there.
Yeah.
People might think that you're on
and that was my goal. My whole goal was
I hear so
to,
much about this. Right.
get,
some days
that's
of
right,
op-
people
days
are,
of
people are, all-
operation.
Right.
people
The
are,
guy-
people are all
I-
over this.
Right. And I think we should, going forward towards that meeting, I think it needs to have the whole plan coming into that meeting. I mean, if he's gonna say, well, this is all we're doing at the flea market, we don't know anything else. It's like we did going through all the other processes here. We want more information instead of having a meeting go, we need more information and leave that one and go put it on to the next one, and put it on to the next one, and put it on to the next one. If he's gonna put that in and that's the date that's gonna work on, he's gonna have to have a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, if
That's
it's not a
that's fine
plan,
with me. You
No.
guys, this is,
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but.
Yeah, when we
I mean, we
kept
did
going
this a
forward,
lot.
we kept thinking around with Paul down there.
Right.
It drove me nuts.
Right.
It's
The
like.
guy
oh,
that's selling
Paul.
gold. Oh, my
I
God.
just think,
Yeah.
I think,
Right, I don't wanna be sitting here coming in on the ninth to go, okay, he's got, he wants a flea market, all right.
Yeah.
So then we're thinking about what we're gonna do. I think we all can think about what we're gonna do or how we wanna help on that, but if we don't know exactly how I wanna see a layout, I wanna see what, what he's gonna have for parking, I mean.
Maybe
I
some
think- I think
pictures,
it's been
actually
done
some
some of the rest.
pictures.
Some, yeah, a nice plot plan.
Right.
Yeah, look this, come on.
well, I
Yeah,
think,
right.
I think there's a couple ways to go about that.
I think
I
you're,
mean, even if Megan sends something to him.
Well, that's what I was just
or
gonna
if
say,
you
we
wanted to
can-
talk to him.
We can.
Yeah.
the size of,
we
the
can
size
reach
of
out to
your
them.
sales area,
Right,
the
Yeah.
size of your parking area, these things to scale
right.
with,
I mean, same thing we did with any other plans that came in.
Absolutely.
hey,
If
if you
I
go,
mean,
if you
I
go
don't- I don't
beyond,
wanna waste anybody else's time
Right.
either,
No.
so we
You
did
guys-
that. So
you good with that, Cindy and Carl? You think that would be acceptable?
What's that?
If we require sizes, what's your sales site gonna look like and the size of it? You're
Want the
not
whole
going
plan.
outside of it. And your
Yeah,
park,
I mean, I think that has to be done. You
Yeah.
know,
Plan.
a plan, a measured plan.
set of plans.
same as we've done for everything else.
Right, I wasn't thrilled with Odin's hand-drawn picture, but it was okay, okay.
Mhm.
But no, I think we need a nice set of, maybe not architectural drawings, but a good
Right.
rendering.
Something that shows,
That's what we did with the town hall. I remember there was a little sketched out plan and it was really necessary to have a good survey plan.
Right,
I think we
right.
should require this on this one.
We
Right.
would stick with.
Should have that.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had been in the past.
if you've got
You know-
500 square feet of sales, then maybe you need,
I think you guys
So many
can
cars,
certainly,
right.
I think you guys could certainly have Megan send an email. I'd be more than happy to contact him.
you'll have
Yeah.
plenty of time to,
I,
I mean,
right
that's where
now,
I'm at, I think.
right
The
now,
site visit too is a good idea.
Well, we put our own town through hell.
Right.
I mean, meticulously.
oh, sure.
and
Sure.
I have a pretty good rapport right now with Patrick. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but right now,
I do too.
right now, I seem to get along pretty well with him. So I think I can probably get, if you give Megan a list of things that you're looking for, between her and I, we can get the information to him. If we send him an email, then and what I'll do is I'll prep him for the email tomorrow and, you know, then we can ask him for a plot plan or whatever you guys want, you know?
No, but you're gonna plant any bushes, any trees,
Yeah,
you know, we
I'll-
did that
Right,
with,
Right, a layout of
Yeah.
what he's asking for. And
You
then
tell Megan and
if
I'll
we're gonna
prep him
add
for
to it,
the,
we add to it, but
I'll
I
prep
wanna
him for
hear
the
it.
email.
Right.
And then obviously, that's right, John, on the 9th, you could say, hey, wait a minute, we want a little more of this, or this is good,
can
this
add
is
to it
good, but do
anytime.
this and that and the other thing. I think that's acceptable.
this is a very valuable piece of property. I mean, that people go back and forth between Bennington to the hospital.
Right,
And we ought to show where you're gonna put certain things.
right. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at what we've done for everything else. I mean, you know.
The
with
junk
with
that's out there right now is absolutely
Oh, yeah.
unacceptable.
Right. it's-
If
all
that
that's
stuff's
gonna be
left there
cleaned
like
up
that,
No.
revocation.
Yeah.
All winter. it was
Right.
left there.
Come on.
It was there all winter.
So, you know, I just thought it was a good opportunity to try to get a handle on what's going on there, to be honest with you.
Right, and we gotta be able to give the zoning administrator a way to revoke this if it's
Fall
not,
apart, right.
yes.
Well, once again, you gotta give me some teeth in your
No, no.
bite and bark.
No, 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 yeah.
That's, you know,
The provisions have to be.
but if you get a permit and you have the provisions and guidelines and regulations in the permit and they're
Right.
not following that,
Right.
then we have teeth.
Yes.
Now we have nothing.
Right. And that's,
Then we have teeth.
right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've done that with the town hall project.
Right.
With him up
Yeah.
here for the restaurant.
Not picking
This-
on you,
this-
Pat,
Right.
but this is the way we want.
No, and I
Right,
think
but
I-
We
I
need to see something.
We need to see what it's gonna look like.
And I-
at the end.
I-
hate-
had
I
the-
hate coming in here and going, okay, yeah, it's a permit.
Yeah.
the last
I don't know what they want.
Well, no,
That's-
but
that kills us.
is there gonna be junk there all winter?
Right.
the
I mean,
last
come on.
the last
Right.
conversation that I had with him was really good about trying to follow and do the right thing and clean it up.
You know, the trailer next to it, if that's the guy that's gonna run it, Lord only, he's got trees that he's fallen on the backside of it that aren't cleaned up. He's got a lot of,
And if it's a business, it's gotta be a presentable business.
right, you know,
Something that
And a
presents-
new neighbor coming in next door, you know, was gonna build a big fence or, you know, or where, we're trying to, you know, Pat, we're trying to make Pownal move forward
Yeah.
in the locations for people to look at the
Right,
person.
right. Right.
So-
It's not like we're not trying
No,
to pick
no,
on them or
no,
not in any way, shape or
It-
form.
It's, I would say,
So I would
Pat, this is laughable.
I would
Right.
say that I would
I
say that
know
right
that.
now, if you guys give Megan some notes to put in an email of things that you're looking for.
Well, the fact is, you want to sell this property for the kind of money you want, make it look like it's good, well, you can get $200,000.
make it viable.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
come on. This property is very valuable.
So, you know, I'd say give her some notes right now and
Yeah.
and she'll send it in an email and I'll make a phone call tomorrow to him and he's
So-
kinda-
Okay, Mike, is this parcel, am I reading this right, or is it 5 acre plus or minus, or 3 acres?
I'm gonna say,
I think what it is, Kyle, there's two parcels that connect. I think the one is a 5 acre piece.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks like a
It
three.
goes all the way back
It goes
to
all the way back to the
Pettit's
wood line.
property.
Yeah.
right, that is is it on the old hotel site, or is it over on the other guy's site?
It's
Gonna
the
be on
hotel site.
Hotel site.
Okay,
I know that for sure.
Is it, is it?
I know that I would like to see some measurements on that quote unquote designated parking.
Yes.
There is none. And
Right.
I'd like to see how he's gonna put cars in there.
I'd like to see an actual site where you're going to have your sales.
Correct.
No.
I like
Yeah,
that.
like you said, a scale site plan,
did right
Yeah,
here.
yes, yes. it's-
Have something that we can look at.
and
Just
you
like
know, we
did
should
right
have
here.
that because,
Not an engineer, does that be?
well,
I
they
mean,
went to Williamstown and got an engineer.
right,
I
yeah,
mean, Charlie, those guys.
I mean, if-
I gotta bet Patrick probably wouldn't be doing much on the engineered part of it.
No, I know that.
right, but I mean,
Getting him a
if
site,
it's,
getting a site plan from him.
I say if it comes in like the first plans came in on the town hall,
No.
hand sketched, it's gonna go to an engineer.
You
I
gotta
mean,
go
that's
Now,
what I have to
if I'm
require.
not mistaken, I think originally when that trailer went in,
the exit for that was supposed to be at the southerlymost point.
Which trailer?
The one that's actually
It's a
inhabited.
double wide now.
Yeah, the
Oh,
one that's double
yeah.
wide.
The one where they back the one in next to it?
Yes, I believe originally the exit and entrance for that driveway was supposed to be down by the roost. And then slowly but surely, it dwindled to up by the mailboxes. For safety purposes, I can almost swear that it was supposed to be at the southerlymost point.
Do you know when that came before us, Matt?
No, Carl, I don't.
How about,
Alright.
when the brown one was
Yeah.
permitted?
Yeah,
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, it was right after Nelson. It's right. I think it was right after Nelson became representative.
Both of those trailers
he finally
are
allowed that to
hooked
be
up-
permitted.
are hooked up to the sewer system. The one, the other one that
Old
runs,
Peg Leg swore he'd never allow
the other
that.
one, east and west,
Mm.
the single wide that runs east and west is now. The two that run kind of north and south are hooked up to the town sewer.
Is that before or after the lawsuit? No, I've been after the lawsuit. Yeah. Was scared there.
All I can tell you is I researched this out a couple months ago.
Oh, boy.
So if that one, if the brown one is permitted, then will that hamper? Now it's residential.
That's for the DRB, not for the zoning administrator. I just done some homework on it. That's all I can tell you,
Yeah, it's residential, but you still put a business in residential, though.
especially in the village.
Village.
But it's gonna have to have stipulation for sure.
So now you have to have setbacks?
Yep.
From the trailer,
From Charlie, you'd have to, yeah.
right? The business is gonna have to have setbacks.
Yeah.
Not the zoning administrator. This is the
No,
DRB.
Just like I said, this is things,
Well, we've
these are
done that.
things,
We've
No,
done that on some
seriously.
other permits anyway.
these are,
No, because if that's a separate parcel, then that has to have a setback from that parcel.
but it's on the same parcel, but you're just gonna have to have setbacks from the trailer?
Oh, the other trailers, yes, the other trailers that are on Gray's site, but the first trailer next to Peaceful Valley, that's a separate subdivision. I know for a fact we gave, because Nelson was pissed off at me for a while because we gave him that.
They never
Permit.
finished it.
What's that?
Even finished the subdivision, I don't think, Carl.
I don't think it's ever been finished, Carl.
I don't think that they ever filed the plot plan.
I remember being in the town office and I remember that girl coming into Julie. Now, I might be wrong and I might be off, but I thought they had filed the,
But even if
pull up
it's,
the town
I
view
believe
on
if
your-
it's not sold, if
That's
it's still
how you're-
Pat
you're
Gray
doing nothing
owns
or
it,
something right
even
now?
though it's subdivided. Even Dad's property was been that way. He's got different lots that been subdivided,
But he owns
but
them.
he owns all the lots, so they're all one piece.
Right.
Is how it's considered by the.
So in theory, PJ still owns both of them, or
Yes,
could possibly.
right.
could possibly.
He still owns it, yeah, it's still a one piece. It's broken off, but it's one piece.
Yeah.
Tax wise, as far as listed, it's one piece.
It should be two.
It's listed as two, but because he owns them, when they tax it as,
A question I would have would be,
even if Dad, all
So-
Dad's is on that.
a question I would have, Matt, would be, do we still have to look at that as two pieces? Because let's say we give the subdivision approval or is junk sale or whatever you want to call that. And then he sells the trailer. Since it's already a subdivided lot, shouldn't that still have setbacks from that?
It shows in the town view as a subdivided lot.
Okay,
So the 3 acre, give or take, in the 5 acre.
so it's got to meet setbacks from that
And-
property.
And
had to be
the
separate.
farther, the southerlymost piece of property goes all the way back to Pettis.
It does.
It does.
So Peaceful Valley doesn't border.
Nope, Peaceful Valley is not a border
Okay,
of the proposed site.
unless PJ still owns the first trailer.
I think technically he does.
Yeah,
So then
he hasn't sold as far as.
So then if John is correct,
It's still considered.
then
a-
Peaceful Valley
But
isn't.
it's still considered a separate parcel. I mean,
Still one. property.
because he can't sell it. If he was just to put sales booths right down the edge of that
Yeah.
because he doesn't need the setback because he owns them both.
Because he owns them both.
But then he can't sell it. I mean, we have to,
I think.
How
as
many
far as-
tax bills are on it? One or two?
Should be one. Should be,
Should
unless
be.
they, unless it's sold.
If there are two tax bills, then it's two individual properties.
Right.
If there's one tax bill,
So.
because we ran into that with Matt's piece up there.
So what it says.
But we can also just say, because of it gonna be probably being sold, or it could be sold down the road, we want to set back from it anyway, just because we're gonna have to do that later on if it sells.
So what you
we
have,
could do a
what you
setback
have,
now.
is you have 8.6, is that what it is? 8.67 acres.
Yes.
One of them is 5.19. The other one is the balance. Three, whatever it is, three.
Does it show if there's two tax bills or one tax bill?
Are there two parcel ID numbers?
Yeah, it'll probably have two. Dad's had different ID numbers, but they were still considered one of them was tax bill. I don't know why, that's how they've always been.
She may have,
As long as it's the same owner and they're conjoining properties. Meaning the pieces are touching.
how long has he owned?
PJ?
Quite a while.
Oh, Jimmy's gotta be going back into the 70s.
Actually,
Yeah, there is a 7.7 and 7.7.1. There must be two separate tax bills.
Well, that's the thing, we have to look up tax bill on it.
Brown was. his
So like
only
says,
house
on
there
my mom's property,
for a long
if it's
time.
a joining
No, wait a
piece,
minute now, I
there's
don't know about
different
that side of
lots.
the road.
But
He
there's
may
joining
not have owned
pieces
that
that
side of the road.
it's still
because the
considered one
motel
of the
was
tax.
there.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
I don't know,
Yeah,
that's how
that
it's.
This
part.
looks like it has two.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think he bought that after it burned, to be honest with you, because the sweater shop was there,
yeah.
the motel was there,
Mhm.
and then they built a roost.
The grass onion. Was trying to think about.
it was sometime after the burn of the motel.
Yeah.
I remember
He
that.
didn't, he hasn't owned that long.
It was after the burn, I know.
I'm trying to think who was the zoning administrator at that time, and I think it was Brown. Yeah, Brown gave away the town a little bit, because he wanted to be commander of the Legion in Bennington.
Okay.
Yeah, he was living on the Alta Trailer Park. He was, he didn't care about anything.
Oh, hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Parcel number. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Chickabee Drive. Matzo, right, Sean?
Yeah,
Shows him, I'm just trying to figure it out here. How many acres?
Yeah, Megan's looked it up here, said there's two different numbers on it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think
I got one that shows him with a Pownal mailing address, but then it goes Chickabee Drive, so I'm not quite sure how to.
He drive the trailer park.
Yeah.
Brown was the,
so we'd have to know from what it says on the card, what their tax bill is on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Or from Ellen or something, what the tax bill is on it. But I mean,
now
either
who
way,
applied for the, who
He
applied?
applied for the permit.
the ZA at that time was Brown. He lived in Chickadee Drive in the trailer park, called the trailer park.
Who applied for the permit for the trailer, Mike?
Hey Cindy,
I think it
a
was-
minute.
Yeah.
Can you give me a call at the store? I want to talk to you about another subject.
He applied.
Okay,
Yeah.
Put the two
I
trailers
remember-
together.
I remember doing it.
Got an idea.
tell me or this week. I'll call you though.
I missed that meeting,
Appreciate
so
it.
that's why I wonder.
I think it was Pat Gray put it in. Nobody showed up for it.
No,
But it was, I remember, I just don't remember the whole thing.
So PJ technically still owns that lot.
I believe so. It's been sold.
Okay. But
I haven't
I
heard
think
of it
because he
being
did a
sold.
subdivision, I think we should set
We should
back.
honor that subdivision.
We honored it because we granted it, and now
We
we're gonna,
granted it.
now we're gonna require setbacks for the flea market.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And setbacks from 7, and setbacks from the roost.
Yeah.
The hazard of the
hazard for the motel.
Hazard of the Motel Foundation.
Where the.
Yep.
So we're gonna
Parking.
try to keep this as small and quaint as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My thoughts,
On your side.
I don't like the
I'm-
sprawled out look.
Mhm. Like I
Um,
said, I think tightening it up, I wanna, before I hit the 9th, I wanna see. I wanna know that we got something to look at.
Yeah.
I don't wanna come here and just say, here's a plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Trust you.
That's why I was saying that we should do a site visit, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that will be after, I think, we have the initial meeting.
after the
After
hearing.
after the plan. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So we'll schedule that. We'll discuss what's a good day for you guys and we'll schedule the site visit with stakes and indicators of what's what.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah.
Or.
So
give
when
that-
we went
give
to,
it- Give that to Megan to have him do that.
we'll make him do that at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So when we went to Phil and Dana's, we were kind of stumbling around as to what's what, who's gonna go where and things like that. Let's put some stakes in with some ribbons and indicate
show.
sizes, distances, and things along those lines.
Yes.
And they had there was some parking.
You know, I was
That
on
was
Phil
still
and,
rough.
I was on Phil and Dana's side for that one too. Let's not kid anybody, but I think, yeah, we'll go through, we'll have Megan indicate the section of the bylaws we're gonna be dealing with. Email that information to us. We review it. The 9th, we'll go through, make sure the plot plan looks good, and then schedule a site visit.
Okay.
Like a plan.
Nice.
Sounds like a plan. Excellent.
So you guys want to adjourn?
Make a motion.
A second.
Roll call?
Aye.
Aye,
I.
all done.
Thank you
Nice.
very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'll pick up my
A lot of
paper.
discussion for not much stuff.
A lot of discussion.
Hey, it needs to be done sometime.
Yep.
Hey,
Well,
Matt,
Okay,
you know
that's,
Chris left Allen Farm Equipment?
who?
Chris, the parts guy?
Oh, Carl, everybody's been leaving everybody.
He's working over to Capitol. I just drove in there today. I was like, damn, I didn't recognize you in that blue suit you got.
no kidding.
Oh, it's Carl. Mark went over, had to get some oil filters, and then he went to White's.
Yeah.
There is